Hello guys and welcome to a little bit of a hybrid video. Today I want to talk about the top 8 to top 16 from last weekend's Bristol regional, as well as talk a little bit about the current meta. Since we're now approaching finals, I think Chile is in 2 weeks and other finals are coming up as well, with the European final being the last one at the around mid-December, 13, 14, 15-ish of December. I want to have a look back at the BT28 meta and talk a little bit about what this meta even is, what you need to be prepared for, and so on and so on. But before we do this, let's dive into the regional breakdown. So, as we can see, we had 44 players in total at Bristol last weekend, the 16th of November. It was a Sunday, I think? Yeah, it was a Sunday. And as you all might have seen, Peter Dance won the regional in the finals against my dear friend Bradley. And so we have the top 8 right now here. First place is Peter Dance with Invoker. I hope you've all seen his deck profile. If not, I will link it either right now here if I'm skilled enough to do YouTube shit, or down there in the description so you can have a look. I will do the same, by the way, for every deck profile that is uploaded. So I will directly link every deck profile in the description below. If I miss any deck profile, please tell me. I will immediately link it. Then we have, as a second place, Dr. Arinsu, played by Bradley. I'm really looking forward to your deck profile. We worked a lot on this deck. And yeah, it's great, and we still have things to do with that. Then third place, the best yellow deck in the format still, Nova Shenron. Then we have a Pan Xeno, best black deck in the format. Then we have 4 shared 5th places, because we kind of really don't know who is like 6th, 7th, and so on after a top cut. So they're all labeled as 5th place. We have Shroom and Salsa BT18. We have Green Bojack, we have Dr. Arinsu again, and Pan Xeno again. So as you can see, we have like 6 different decks in the top 8. And there are a few interesting things in here where we will dive in a little bit more deep. So diving right into top deck, the Fusion, the best platform there is for looking into how the meta currently looks. Past regionals, top 8, top 16 placings, everything basically. So let's have a look at the top 8 deck list, at least like every one we have. We are missing one Pan Xeno list, but we got the rest. Starting off with Peter Dance's first place deck profile. If you haven't seen it already, go down in the description and look at the Lookouts video where Peter explained, like in a 1 hour long video in detail, how his deck looked like. I think the most important thing about this deck list now is that you can really see Peter putting effort into the Z deck. So the choices of having the 2-cost Gohan here just to have a U7 card in place for his leader ability, or the choice of the Frieza to minus the board and having a finisher that can really do stuff with a lot of power basically, or the Jiren Unisons are a nice addition he didn't have before. And I'm pretty sure he will also work on the side deck a little bit more, like he claimed it's not the best right now, but I'm sure he will manage to do so. Then second place, we have Arinsu. I won't talk too much about this as well, because like I told before, Brad and I are in nearly daily exchange about our Arinsu list, about things we're currently testing. And I think a second place speaks for itself, right? So it worked again pretty well. This is a deck, when you are a good pilot on this deck, you can do pretty well. However, this deck is also like easily countered by certain cards, so you need to be prepared for that. I think a really nice addition here is the Glorio, which is kind of here for going around Prospect. So if you're going second, let's say, there is a chance that you can basically play this card on turn 2, going through 3 energy, and then Heroic Prospect doesn't matter anymore that much to you. There are also some other nice ideas in here. I leave that open for Bradley to discuss. Just a wholesome guy and a really awesome player and a really awesome list. Then third place, we have Nova Shenron, like I said, the best yellow deck in the format at the moment. If we're looking solely at new cards from BT28 and the TPs, we can really see a common trend here for 2 new cards basically. One, like this Versus Negate, which seems to be or like 3 cards. One, the Versus Negate, which seems to be one of the best Versus Negates we have right now. Basically, you're redirecting an attack, and then you choose something ignoring barrier, switch it to rest mode, and negate the skills for the turn. Like, this ability is huge for every barrier card that just generates value for your opponent. Also to get rid of blockers, for example, the SS4 Vegito, if that even is played anymore. The Sengohan Z Battle card, thinking about black, or like Arinsu stuff. Also like greenish stuff, like blocker stuff. It's just a really good card, and you can really see it being played as a 2-off. Also a really good card is this 8-drop Great Ape. I think I mentioned that in a prior regional breakdown video. This card alone is now a reason to always run the SS4 Gogeta, no matter which deck you're playing. Because for 2 energy, you can just blank something in rest mode. Or blank something, sorry, just blank something. And then swing with that card, and then go into that card for 2 energy. Basically minusing your opponent 2 in hand. It's like a pretty good generic playline right now, right? And you're just making -1 in hand, your opponent's making -2 at least in hand, because you draw a card when playing this. So this is also a staple, as well as this funny card, which is live basically all the time. So for 1 energy you get a 20k double striker that also switches something to rest mode, which can not switch to active mode until the end of your opponent's turn. Pretty huge, I would say. Doesn't blank though, but still a pretty huge card just to stun lock cards, especially paired with something like the SS4 Gogeta secret, or let's say your Piccolo secret. It sets them up more easily and is also a really huge swing. So great cards. Then talking about Pan, I played Pan myself at the first half of the year. This list is pretty similar to everything I've seen so far. I still want to mention a few things here. So usually you're kind of playing a total of 8 Self-Awakeners. This list from Ivan is just playing 6. But he's heavily relying on the Supreme Kai of Time. I'm not sure if that is a good call. There is no deck profile from him at the moment. I would be very interested on how this one performed. It also seems like this is more like a defensive variant instead of a very aggressive one, just because of the Kai is here, right? So you can play her by basically having a Z card in your battle area, then use 1 battle card with Overwhelm with a skill in the combo, and then play her. So you can extend your turns, you can generate a blocker, and especially since the lists are not running SS4 Vegetos anymore, and the Overwhelms would be going away anyway, we can play this card cycle. The only problem I had with this card is that the Activate Battle is limit 1, and that the card itself does not have 5k combo power. So in my past it happened sometimes that I was just like 5k combo power short for victory or for defending my last life, and this is why I never considered it playing again. But it seemed like it delivered, and that Ivan is having great success with it. If we're going over the side deck, there's nothing too unusual here. I think this card is solely here for Arinsu or for white boards, you could say, right? And the side deck also looks like pretty standard. The 8-drop cooler for having a little bit of an extension when playing against wider boards, where the deck or the matchup is a little bit more slow. I can see this being played maybe against Daimaku, for example. Yeah. Then we have all the 5th places. This is a Big O's list, so Ollie's list. I wrote to him a little bit on Discord, and he told me that he was never able to test this list because he does not have locals anymore. And that he would make a lot of changes, and that he might make a deck profile as well, so I leave most of the stuff open for that. I also tested that deck a lot, especially like in the weeks before Düsseldorf? Utrecht. For Utrecht, because I was considering coming with this deck as well, but it never felt right to me. I ran 58 cards, he's running 50 cards. And I can tell you that this new card, the Gravy, is doing everything for this deck. So basically, you can combo him, then you can combo from your Warp with a Shroom or a Salsa card. And then, for example, you can free play this card. You can also free play this card, because Gravy reduces the next activate battle cost from a Shroom or Salsa card by 1. Or, later on, at 3 energy, you can play this card for 1 energy. And as Gravy immediately sets up 2 cards in your combo area, you don't need to combo something from hand if your opponent swings at leader, and you can combo with him from your Warp. Also, he's a draw 2, Warp 1 from hand, Warp 1 from deck, so the possibility of you awakening turn 2 is way higher when playing this card at 4. So he plays like 4, 7, 11 cards that can help him awaken. This is an extender, and in my opinion, this is just a nice finisher to replay your 8-drop when it got bottom decked from your combo area or from your deck by an Overlord skill. And he's just a 25k crit that also like warps something, so he's really good. I would be very interested in what kind of changes Ollie would make to the list, so I will eagerly wait for his deck profile to drop, and I will also link it down below if it's up, if it comes up. And then in the side deck we have the Toa package. I kind of feel like that this package has fallen off a little bit because Dormant is a thing and so many counterplays also for black are now live or also for other colors that it only feels right sometimes. Something like Super Kamehameha is a no-brainer for me. And then we have also some generic stuff in here. I think you could also think about putting the Dabura counter card in here for yellow matchups. Yeah. Another 5th place, Green Bojack. I'm not a green player, I have to say that. And this is Joey Revel's list, so maybe he does a deck profile as well, at least I hope so. You can see that the new support seems to be really good if he's playing both cards at 4. I won't talk much about this deck because I can't give you any insights. I just know that this deck draws a lot and that it's also really good at removing markers from a unison. And that's it. I don't know anything more about the deck, so feel free to test this list and tell me your thoughts about the list. Yeah. And then like another Arinsu list. This looks kind of similar to Bradley's list. Just a few ratio changes here and there. You could see him running Oop and Broly, for example, or 1 Zeno for a potential secret rare ramp off of Glorio. I also like that idea. He's still playing 1 Skillis. And yeah, I think the rest looks pretty similar, right? Same secret, 2 Gohan rares. Pretty standard stuff. Z-Deck or Side Deck looks also pretty standard. I'm not a huge fan of Heroic Prospect, but I can see players using that card and having success with it. The Z-Deck looks interesting because we have 1 copy of Whis here. So Whis is interesting. He's a 20k dual attacker. And when your opponent swings into you, you can sacrifice 1 Z energy to redirect a swing. Obviously, having this paired with a Revenge Dude that is already on board is pretty huge, especially because you also get to untap 1 energy at the end of the battle, so I can see this card pretty good. However, the reason why I prefer Dabura over this card is the simple reason that Dabura can bottom deck something ignoring barrier, which blue is kinda still missing, at least for cheap energy. So yeah, he also has Dabura, he just does not have Cell or Beerus or something like that. If you're watching this video, I would be very interested on how Whis performed for you and how it worked for you. So this concludes now the part of the video where I talk about the top 8 in Bristol. If you want to have a deeper look at the whole top 16, you can do it by looking into Deck Planet onto Meta Deck List. And there you can basically select your preferred regional here. And as you can see, nearly all of the Bristol lists are here. There's also Power Wish deck, which I think is interesting with the new support. Maybe have a look here if you are really interested into that, also with White Zeno. So there is some spice in here. And then also like Prismatic Gogeta list again from Axel, Nova list from Giovanni. So many more lists you can have a look into. But right now, I want to talk about the meta. So I'm like pulling my arms a little bit because now it gets interesting. We are all kind of preparing for finals, at least we as competitive players. And oftentimes we think to ourselves, what is the best deck at the format, right? So what is like the big boogeyman in the room? Sometimes it's just 1 deck, sometimes it's 2 decks, sometimes it's even a triangle of 3 decks. I think this meta is something we've never experienced before for finals. So the last 2 years it was Kid-Ku as the big bad boy in the room, and the year before it was U7. Everybody was trying to beat that decks or to play that decks, but to play it better than other players basically. This year is different. I would say we have like so many decks that regularly top that you can basically pick any of them to bring to finals. Obviously, there are some decks performing better than others. And right now we could analyze where the reason is for that. Because as you have seen for Bristol, at least from the perspective right now, there is not one single Warp Jita in here. Not one. right? So there were no Vegeta topping. Is it because Vegeta is a bad deck? Or is it because like none of these players felt really comfortable on Vegeta and thought this was the right playstyle? And as you can see, we have some favorites. So we have like all 5 colors represented with at least 9 tops. The highest color has like 16 tops, which is a little bit of an outstanding choice, right? So Vegeta still seems to be like one of the best deck. I wouldn't say the best deck, but it's up there. And then we have Panxino, we have Arinsu, we have Tien, and then we have Nova paired with Daimagoku. So basically you can play every color right now. You can play one of those leaders of the colors. Or if you don't like Arinsu, for example, you can also play Daimaku, or Gammas, or even Bojack, or even Tapion, right? I think this meta right now is not a meta where we can ask the question, what is the right deck? We need to ask ourselves, what is our playstyle? Stick to that deck and work on that deck. Like getting in the reps. It sounds so stupid. I hate this sentence. But we need to practice. We need to practice. We need to find answers for the problems because every of those decks have problems. Arinsu has huge problems. I'm telling you that because I'm playing Arinsu a lot. Panxino has problems, definitely, and players seem to get those problems. Tien has problems. And right now it's not about jumping to the next deck, which does not have those problems. It's about addressing those problems with spice, or with changes in ratios, or with picking nice side deck cards, right? And just trying to improve, trying to surprise your opponent, because we still have a best of 1 format, right, in a Swiss format. And that's it. There are even some players responsible for some tops. So if we go to Tapion here, for example, shout out to you, Ethan, because I will know what happens here. We have Ethan, then we have Ethan, then we have somebody else, then we have somebody else, randoms, and then we have somebody else as well. And then we have somebody else as well, somebody else as well. Okay, these are not 5 tops, these are way more. Okay, this is because of BT27. So if you just look at BT28, these are not 5 different people doing something with that deck, but 3 different people. So it often comes down to individual players performing well on a deck. Obviously, the same is true for something like Invoker. Obviously, the same is true for something like Threehan, and obviously the same is also true for something like Red Androids. I won't talk about this one. Or other decks, right? Vegex or Power Wish. There are just some players who are very good on their deck, and I feel like if you're a player that knows their deck well, and the deck is not lacking an essential part you need to play the game right now, for example, removal, card draw, protection, then you can just go and play that deck and try to get better on that deck. There is not the tier 0 deck right now. There is also a wide range of tier 1 decks right now. And there's also a wide range of tier 2 decks right now, which all have a reason to be played. Just to compare this meta list to, or these meta leader to the last season, right? So maybe we filter for BT27. You kind of get what I'm talking about? We have like 77 tops from Vegeta, 38 tops from Rover, 26 tops from Gamma, and then it suddenly drops. It even drops rapidly from first to second, right? This is why we had this ban list for Vegeta and for Nuova, and there were other decks also coming into place that also topped, and now we have a way wider meta. Obviously, this meta was way longer right now, but it's not comparable to this meta. So my guess for the finals would be, pick whatever the fuck you like, pick whatever the fuck your playstyle is, and then try to improve, try to get better, try to practice, try to make the right decision for your side deck and for your Z deck, like Peter did, for example, and then just top with that deck. Play your best, have fun with it. There will be times when it's really, really frustrating and you're kind of struggling with your deck because people are getting how to play against that. But then it's up to you to just be better than them and to find new solutions. And luckily we have some tools like Deck Planet, for example, where you can filter stuff after specific terms or energy cost or colors or whatever. And I'm pretty sure there are so many cards out there right now that you can find the solution to your problem you're facing. With that being said, this is the end of the video. I hope the breakdown was cool and you could learn a little bit or not. Let's share your thought. Maybe I'm speaking bullshit. Please correct me if I'm speaking bullshit. And then we'll see each other in another video in the future. Latest at European Final. I'm excited. See ya.